Joining me right now to discuss this is London Mayoral candidate Howard Cox. Good morning to you, Howard.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, we do need to stress, this is a report basically from the Advertising Standards Authority. They've been asked by hundreds of people, I'm assuming including your good self, Howard, to look at the claims that have been made. It was millions of pounds of taxpayers' money spent by Transport for London, the London Transport Authority, under the auspices of Sadiq Khan, spent saying, look, this ULEZ new policy coming in, but don't worry, it's saving lives, isn't it wonderful? Our air quality is so much better. Now, this is a draft report. It's been leaked. The ASA have made it clear that, this could change. This is not a final report, but it looks pretty damning so far, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And are we surprised, Julia? What we've seen, that this is the most dishonest mayor there's ever been. And let's just look at his litany of criminal offences, as I put it. I mean, he's ordered cameras before the result of a public consultation.
Well, they're not criminal. I do feel the need to stress they're not criminal.
Well, I can tell you...
We've got lawyers, Howard.
I know, Julia. All right, then I take your point, but he is a very dishonest mayor. He manipulated a public consultation, with 5,000 of my supporters at Fairfield UK. They were counted as one vote or one objection. And then the active transport lobbyists in him were counted as individuals, all the thousands of them. He uses emotive fake health fatality data, the 4,000 deaths every year.
It's completely made up nonsense, isn't it? It's equivalent lives lost by 10 million people over their entire lives. I mean, it's literally, you and I are going to live sort of a couple of hours shorter because we've got buses and trains and cars and fridges and electric lighting. I mean, I think that's a pretty good deal, frankly.
Well, I was speaking to someone from Imperial College and they said even that couple of hours, they can't measure that. It's just literally a spreadsheet and you go down to the next line and it's come down by 13 minutes or something. Yeah. And he's even paid universities or TfL universities money to try and get fixed results to prove that the ULEZ has worked, etc. And he's employing 100 people in a thing called Project Detroit for pay per mile. I mean, there's so much... We are being misled by a very dishonest mayor. And I've spoken to Keir Starmer about this many times, and he still refuses to actually sack him from the Labour Party, because basically he's bringing the Labour Party into disrepute.
Well, there was all that concern about the Uxbridge seat, that the row over ULEZ was the reason why Labour didn't manage to steal that seat. Of course, it was Boris Johnson's old seat when he stood down. But this is the thing, isn't it? We're told again and again that all of these projects are all brought in to save lives, improve air quality, and that's the reason why, when actually, as we discovered, we talked about Glasgow and their low emission zone on the show on Thursday. They're just making huge sums of money from it. And you can't make money from a project to sort of stop polluting cars going into not just central, the whole of the M25. I mean, huge area of the country. You can't make money from stopping cars coming in if those cars are coming in and you're able to find them. So if they really thought those cars, vans, lorries were so dangerous and were causing us all to possibly die, then they would ban them altogether rather than charge people extra to drive them.
Well, that's the point, Julia. We've spoken about this over many years, and the simple fact is that cars and trucks and everything have got cleaner. Emissions have lowered massively. And the last thing you do is to hit people in the pocket. But it's an easy option for them, these cash cows. You see various councils across the country going bust. They're in special measures economically, these sorts of things. And the first thing they look for, how can we pay off our debt? Oh, let's hit the motorists again. Yeah. And the umpteen ways of doing that, as you know.
And the key thing about this, the motorists, is not some abstract group. It's people trying to get to work. It's people trying to get their kids to school. It's people running their business. I'm not quite sure, how window cleaners and, gas boiler men and women and painters and decorators are supposed to get their stuff about. They're all just going to be standing on the bus, are they? With their ladders and their painters. I mean, it's such an establishment elitist idea of how people go about their lives. By the way, the London Mayor, now we're told for security reasons, but travels everywhere in an armoured Range Rover, for goodness sake.
Yes, I know. Well, he's got 4 of them, I think, is what he's got. And he's got 16 people that travel with him. It's great. I mean, he must realise that people don't like him. So he has to have some sort of protection.
Well, I don't want anyone facing death threats on these, but what do you think is going to come back?
Julia, I get death threats. Yeah. I get them now.
Yeah. It is extraordinary in our public life that happens, isn't it? Yeah. But if we talk about the ASA, the Advertising Standards Authority, if their final report does echo what they're saying in this draft report that's been leaked, what do you want done about it?
Well, we need a thorough investigation into this. the most important thing is we need some independent, true, fact-driven evidence of what ULEZ has done. I'm one of the few candidates, in fact, I'm the only candidate that actually did an economic analysis, the impact of ULEZ on GDP of London. And it's approaching, it's cost London approximately, it's 800 million, approaching £1 billion a year is hitting the impact of, and that's
of course,
tourism.
Yeah, and London is the driving force of the British economy. It just is, whether people like it or not. Hal Cox, Reform UK candidate for London Mayor, thank you very much indeed. That election expected next year. Let's go back to Sam Armstrong, sitting very patiently in the studio. I mean, this is one of those things, again, it's like all these extra costs on people. Either you have to buy a new car, or you're lucky enough to already have a car that's compliant because you spent more money. And, you know, thank God, when we bought our last car, we made sure it's going to be compliant. Well, with the rules this year, don't know if they'll be compliant the next couple of years. They always change. And people just facing more and more charges to go about their normal daily working lives.
But, you know, I'm really concerned that this report is going to distract Sadiq Khan from his important work bringing peace to the Middle East. Because, you know, we saw him come out and he was unveiling his plan to get the Israelis and the Palestinians to come together. And this is the challenge that, you know, the busy work of actually delivering for Londoners and, you know, not hitting them with extra taxes and telling the truth is actually going to distract him from his work as an international statesman.
And deciding which particular woke ideology he wants to push in the New Year's Eve fireworks as well in London. I mean, these are busy times. They are busy, busy times, aren't they? You know, one thing we've not got to this morning, which we should, because we went, frankly, we yapped on